Hiya, and welcome to the second of our research runs. My name is Mick Parkin. I'm meeting up with people who are running the London Marathon or been affected by heart disease, and today running with the amazing Christine Dunmore. So Christine, tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm Christine Dunmore. I was a non-runner until I did my first Couch to 5K in 2017. Unfortunately, with illness, my own illness, and then with COVID, I didn't really take up running again until 2019 when I did a second Couch to 5K. I just graduated and started doing some, well, I did the Couch to 5K in 2018 and graduated in 2019 before 2020, and obviously wasn't able to do any park runs. Everything that I did was virtual. Just trying to up my speed and my pace in 2020, and really unfortunately my husband, I was at work one day, came home, I was a COVID vaccinator. I found that my husband very unexpectedly had died, and the shocking news was I didn't find out until they'd done a post-mortem that the cause of death was ischemic heart disease, which he didn't know he'd got, I didn't know he'd got. We've been together for 42 years, I am a nurse, and there was no warning signs whatsoever. So I applied for a charity place for the London Marathon, not expecting to get it. I just needed something to help my mental health, and I found out just before Christmas that I got a charity place, so that's why.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, why I'm here today, really. Yeah.
Good stuff. And we'll be finding more about your story as we're going round. And as ever, both of us have got money that we need to raise for British Heart Foundation, and we want to raise for British Heart Foundation by running the marathon. In this video I'll put the link for Christine's page and for my page in the comments, so if you can, whether it's just a quid or whatever you can donate, please, if you can, or even just share it, that would be fantastic. So yeah, we'll see you on the run around this beautiful course that we did. That's a great idea. Just do what you can, find a nice morning like this, get out and about.
And everybody keeps saying you've still got a long way to go, but October does seem to be getting nearer and nearer.
It does. For the actual day, there's a thing I've used quite a lot. I don't know if it might be useful for yourself. There's a thing called jeffing. Have you come across that?
Yeah, I have actually, with my running club in Desford in Leicestershire. Before lockdown, we started doing some jeffing runs.
Yes.
Then lockdown sort of put a stop to that.
And is it, what I understand that is because if you've done it with the running coach, I think you probably know better than I do. Is that just run a bit, walk a bit?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Fine.
And we used to have a little stop for a while to let everybody catch up, because we're all at different paces, and I love that.
Yeah.
You don't feel as if there's any pressure.
Exactly.
Going.
Just go and enjoy it.
Yeah. No, I think it's helped me a lot.
Yeah,
being a member of a running club, really, because I think if I didn't have the support of others who've got experience, I wouldn't really be able to do it on my own.
Yeah. No, it can be a bit daunting, can't it? So what's it been like being in the running club?
Well, again, it's been a very stop-start. I first joined the running club in 2017.
Yeah.
Graduated from the Couch to 5K March 2018.
Yeah.
But then in April 2018 I got really ill, which unfortunately ended up in me being in hospital.
So we'll have to watch this slope here with the mud.
At the end of 2018 I was misdiagnosed with a condition that made me, they put me on steroids when I didn't need them.
Oh right, okay.
I had a really severe reaction to the steroids, which basically ended in psychosis.
Oh right, okay.
I was actually sectioned in January 2019, which I don't mind telling people about, because even as a nurse myself, I've been a nurse for 42 years. I'm not a mental health nurse, but even I didn't realise what a profound effect steroids could have
I had no idea.
Body. And then they sent me into psychosis, and the medication that they gave me didn't work.
So what is psychosis? I don't know.
It's when basically you lose all sense of reality.
Yeah.
I I thought I couldn't eat.
Yeah.
I lost 3 stone in weight.
Yeah.
I went very inwards into myself.
Yeah.
And my husband, I wandered out one night in the middle of January. I nearly fell in a pond. My husband, when I returned, I was soaking wet.
Yeah.
And he actually called the doctor, and they sectioned me. I wasn't aware of any of this really.
Wow.
Stayed in hospital for 3 months. The medication didn't have any improvement on my health, so they had to eventually give me ECT, electrocardiotherapy treatment.
All right. Okay.
And that was, I think, what saved me in the end. I mean, it was like something from a horror story.
Yeah. Well, just I mean, how soon did it take for the?
Well, I had 12 weeks of ECT treatment, or 12 sessions of it, and I came out of hospital in April 2019. Obviously lost a lot of weight, still on a lot of medication. I eventually weaned off all of the medication by October 2019, and I joined my running club again because I hadn't run, and basically just getting up to running by January 2020. And we actually, as a family, we went skiing in February 2020, 2 weeks before the end of when we went into lockdown in March. And so during 2020 we were in lockdown, so I was still doing some running. But in lockdown it was very, I ran with a group when we could run in groups of 6.
Yeah, it took a while to be able to meet up with other people outside, didn't it?
Virtual park runs and runs on my own. Which was hard really.
Such a used to being at like a really nice social thing.
So basically, by the end of 2020, you're looking forward to a new year. And in January 2021, I'd upped my mileage a little bit. From parkrun lengths to about 5 miles. Which I was 5.5 miles to get.
There's Claire. Hopefully we'll get her in the background behind.
But because I hadn't been working, I retired from nursing in 2017, and obviously there was a call out for COVID-19 vaccinators, and I had worked at a school immunisation for children on the bank since I retired, so I applied to do that. And in January 2021, I was at work as many hours as I could really.
Thank you.
My husband, he was retired from the police force, but during lockdown, because his job in retirement, he still worked for Leicestershire County Council as a public rights of way officer. We were able to go out walking because he was considered a key worker, to check on footpaths, check that they're all open. So we'd had a good year of lockdown out walking together. And in January, as I say, we went skiing in February 2020, so we'd had that. So we'd had a reasonable year in 2020, even though it was lockdown. And in January...
How are you doing for care? So you want to walk a bit?
I think I might have to walk a bit.
That's fine, good stuff.
So January 2021, I was working nearly every day in January 2021. And then in February, there's lots of new centres opening up in Leicestershire as the COVID programme.
Which one were we at?
Well, I was mainly for starting, it's called the People Centre, which is a big community centre in the heart of Leicester. But when I worked as a nurse before I retired, I was based at Loughborough Hospital, which is on the outskirts of Leicestershire where I lived. And I really enjoyed my time working there. And on February the 11th, we booked shifts as bank nurses as they come up. I booked a shift at Loughborough Hospital, which was my first shift working there as a vaccinator. And I had a really, really lovely day. I'd left my husband at home. When I left at 7 in the morning, he was asleep in bed. And it was -5 that morning, I remember, because I really had to scrape my car. It was a really cold morning. He was fit, he was well, my husband was. But 2 days before, he'd been to the hospital to have it was the Spire Hospital in Leicester, which is a private hospital, because his operation to have a Dupuytren's contracture of his hand had been put off for 18 months. He was a big golfer, my husband was, and he wanted his hand repairing because he couldn't hold the golf club comfortably. So 2 days before the 11th of February, on the 9th of February, he'd been to the Spire Hospital to have a COVID test to check that he wasn't COVID positive, and to have an ECG to see if he'd be fit for surgery on Friday the 10th of February 2021. So he was actually isolating, so he hadn't seen the family for nearly a week. And so I went off to work like any normal day on February the 11th. I came home from work at tea time. House was all locked up and in darkness, so I thought Nigel, my husband, was probably having a rest or doing something at the back somewhere. Couldn't get into the house. Eventually found my keys in my car, got in, the house was still in darkness. Walked through to the kitchen, and the taps in our kitchen were running fast, and I could see the sink was at the point of overflowing. And so I ran across the kitchen to turn the taps off as I walked in, and stepped over my husband's body.
Oh my God.
And I really could not believe, I just thought he'd passed out for a minute. And then I got down and I realised he was well out. I immediately started cardiac resuscitation. Dialed 999 at the same time. It was really difficult because I'd never thought of this before. You need your phone, but you need to do the resuscitation. So my phone I put on the floor by the side of my husband, rang 999, and they said an ambulance was on its way. But after about 10 minutes of cardiac massage, I was screaming down the phone. They stayed with me on the phone all the time. And I was saying, can you get someone here? But obviously I knew nobody's numbers because they were all in my phone. What I've done since, and you know, that's for anybody who lives with someone, it's probably a good idea to do. I've written a list of phone numbers of all my nearest and dearest on the kitchen wall. So, I mean, it could happen in any room, but at least there are numbers there, which I felt if I could have just got the ambulance service to ring someone, a neighbour or someone. But I felt very isolated.
So just go through what you'd recommend again with the numbers.
Well, if you come across someone in your own home and it's just you there, there's not really any way of, other than ringing the ambulance service, of getting help. So after that day, I've written, you know, like my children's numbers and my neighbour's number on a big piece of card, and I've just blue tacked it to a cupboard in the kitchen. I mean, I suppose it's not always likely it would be in the kitchen,
but
it's something, isn't it?
I mean, I guess a lot of
because again, you know, there was no way while I was on the phone to the ambulance service, without knowing the number, I could have told them to ring my daughter or anybody or my neighbour. So that's the one thing I've done. But unfortunately, when the ambulance arrived, they couldn't even use the defibrillator. I think it was evident that he died much earlier. Obviously, my life changed forever. And I'm still finding it hard to accept. It's just over a year now. That he's gone, really, because he was so fit and well. He played football, five-a-side football with my son, who's 33, and my son said he was as fit as all the young lads that they played with.
Amazing.
He walked miles a day because he was a public rights of way officer. He was a big golfer. He was just so fit and well. He'd never. My first job as a nurse was at the Gruby Road Hospital in Leicester, which anybody who lived there back in the 70s would know. Gruby Road Hospital was the main heart hospital in Leicester. And many a time I used to go to theatre, see patients sliced open down the sternum, have big open out surgery. And never in my life would I have think my husband would die of a heart problem. Which, again, in my head, as a nurse, because you see different things and conditions, I thought he'd probably had a brain hemorrhage or an aortic aneurysm where your aorta suddenly bursts. But heart disease was the last thing because you know, he just never had any chest pain, jaw pain, breathlessness.
Yeah.
He hadn't smoked. He hardly drank. He was just fit and well. He was 64, but he was a very fit and well 64. He was grandfather to at that time we had 2 grandsons and a granddaughter. I've since had another granddaughter, but he used to run around with the grandchildren.
Yeah.
He'd been out in the garden digging a couple of weeks before he died and getting all our beds ready for the spring. So basically the reason I'm running or I applied for a charity place is because mentally I thought I was in a good place at the point that he died, because I'd overcome what had happened during the previous 2 years.
Yeah.
Life was looking good. I was looking forward to lockdown ending. But basically that has just made me go right downhill over the last year.
Absolutely.
And I on a whim, because I obviously subscribed to the British Heart Foundation when he died, because I want more research to be done.
Yes.
I don't want anyone else to go through. I want them to know that, you know, there might be some hidden condition. So I'm hoping that with research, you know, they will know more about the type of people that may suffer from
being able
heart
to
disease,
either spot it earlier, or I mean that would be the big thing, wouldn't it?
Well, my husband, he was a police officer for 30 years, so he worked shifts the whole time he was in the police force. So I do worry that the stress of doing that role, because it was very stressful for 30 years, may have had an impact. But I do know that when he retired in 2007, he had a blood test taken, and it did show he got raised cholesterol.
Yeah.
And he was, the GP put him on to, the reason he had the blood test was just part of a well man check. It wasn't because he was ill in any way. And the GP had prescribed statins, and on the statins he got aches and pains in all his limbs, couldn't walk distances, he couldn't run.
Keep going. Right, we're going.
Yeah, you're a good other one now. And
what did you say, mate?
so he
The
tried,
water jump.
right, he tried coming off the statins and it was fine, but because obviously he was put onto them for a reason, he tried 2 more different brands of statins. I'm going this way. Sorry, are you alright? That's
Yeah,
to move. And again, he tried 3 different brands of statins. On them it was achy, painy, he couldn't walk up. He worked at County Hall in Leicestershire, which has got a lot of floors. When he wasn't on the statins, he could walk up to the top floor, but taking them he just couldn't manage it. So he stopped the statins probably a year later, 2008, 2009, and basically nobody ever said to him, you know, there was anything else that could be done.
Yeah.
I do know now that since my husband died, my son's had a cholesterol test. He's 33. His cholesterol is very high.
Right.
And he's been put on statins. He's been on them for about 4 months now.
Good. So how's he getting on with them?
Well, basically they had reduced his levels a bit, but not enough. So the GP's doubled his statins, and he did say he wasn't sure, but he was getting a few aches and pains. But as far as I know, at the minute he's stable.
Oh, that's
but
good.
What is good is that I'm hoping now he's into the system, they will keep regular checks on him.
Yeah, are they checking for the same thing that affected your husband as well?
Yeah, well, not at the minute they're not, no.
Okay.
But obviously that's why he was referred by the GP. But again, what would be good is again, it was me that pushed all that.
Yeah.
I didn't, the GP, he went to his GP.
Walk to the rugby post,
The GP, he went to the GP because again, after his dad died, he was feeling really low and down. And he told the GP, but I think it was almost all on my son's behalf that I pushed him to say, you've got to ask your GP to refer you.
Yeah.
Which he eventually got a referral, but it wasn't until a few months ago, which is nearly a year after my husband died.
Yeah.
So I have been told that if you've got raised cholesterol, if it is familial, basically it doesn't just happen. It takes probably 5, 10, 15 years to build up slowly.
Yeah, okay.
And that is my worry with my son, that, you know, how long has it been building up?
Yeah, absolutely. Just I suppose regular checks,
my
even if you're
daughter-
feeling fine, I
My
guess.
daughter's cholesterol, she's 36, was also raised, not as much as my son's, but because she's 36 and had just had a baby, they don't like to put anybody female under the age of 40 on statins.
Oh, really?
So
Okay.
she'll just have to keep going back for regular checks. But again, I've got a third daughter,
Yeah.
not a second daughter, I've got 3 children. Her cholesterol is fine, it's low, so yeah, it just seems to be indiscriminate really.
Yeah.
But all my children are fit, yeah, they do sport.
Good.
So it's just such an unknown, so I'm really hoping that through the British Heart Foundation a lot more awareness will be raised
Yeah, for
of
how it affects.
the hidden issues really.
Like, I know what you're saying, but like how it affects men and women, how statins affect different people.
Yeah.
Cholesterol, everything. So definitely.
But then in my mind I'm thinking, was it just the cholesterol? Or was 30 years of stress in the police force, does that have an impact on your heart?
Wow.
I mean, it was the LAD, which I think you spoke with Pete about, the left anterior descending
Yes.
artery that was shown to be blocked. And as Pete said, they call that the Widowmaker.
Yes.
And in my case, it has been. But I think they're saying over 70% of cases, people do die suddenly, like my husband did,
That's awful.
with no warning signs. But the shock of it has just been, I am struggling with getting it in my mind that he was there one day, fit and well, and just
not
gone.
there the next.
And I
Yeah.
just found him. But this place in London Marathon at the
Where
minute,
that lady in the burgundy
this
is
place is really helping me mentally, because I just feel as if I'm doing something for others.
Absolutely, you're taking
but
a
I'm
bit of
doing
control
something,
back.
doing something for me as well. And I think my biggest fear is not being able to do it when the day comes.
Yeah,
But in my mind I'm thinking, as long as I don't get injured badly in any way,
exactly.
I can just walk it
Just
and take as long as I need to
take it easy, walk it. One
Yeah.
thing I always say is you can't argue with geography. If you've done 26.2 miles, you've done
You've done it,
26.2 miles.
I mean, I've never
Yeah.
ran any distance really in my life.
Yeah,
I did do a 26-mile walk when I was in my early 20s.
yeah,
I remember not being able to walk the next day, but that's the only time
yes.
I've ever done that.
Well, you know what? If it comes to walking the vast majority of all of it, just do it.
Yeah.
You know, you do.
But this is it, and I think my biggest fear will be, which will damage me mentally, is if I get an injury and I physically can't do it.
Yes.
So that's why I really want to take this training as slowly as I can, but as fast to get to where I need to go to really go.
Yeah. Yeah, just take it bit by bit, take it at your own pace. You're
Yeah.
doing exactly the right thing. Yeah, it's
But it is heartwarming. I'm really proud to be part of Team BHF, just to see everybody's stories and the reasons they're doing it. There's such a wide range, and it just makes you feel that you're not alone and you're part of a real team, really. That
absolutely.
we're all
And
doing it for different reasons.
one thing I'm really glad about, because apart from working with them, I don't really have a story. And
But you're hearing everyone by
Well,
you
that's the
doing
thing.
this is your story, sharing
Yeah,
all of
yeah,
our
yeah.
stories.
And you know, even if the only thing it achieves, just watch out for this horrible mud here. Cheers, mate. Thank you very much for volunteering. Thank you. Cheers. Even if what it achieves is, you know, you've heard something in Pete's story that's made
Yeah.
you kind of think, oh
It
wow,
has, yeah.
not the only one who's gone through
Yeah.
that. You know, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's just good to know that there is the support out there from the British Heart Foundation.
Yeah.
You know, the training plan that I've been
Has that been useful?
It's been really useful, because I can really see what I'm aiming for. It's a bit frightening, but,
Yeah.
but I was just worried that if I get to about 2 months before the marathon, that I get this training plan that I just thought, how on earth am I going to do?
Do you want
that?
to run to that tree stump
Yeah.
and walk a bit?
Yeah. Just see my Heinz bean stop. I'll tell you the story.
Yeah,
of
go
that.
on, I want to know about that.
We've got some really good friends who live in Malvern. We did the 3 peaks walking, but one day at a time in 2005 when Nigel's mum died, my husband's mum. And we stayed at we stayed at accommodation in after we'd done Ben Nevis, then after we did the Scarf Town and Snowdon. And when we were in the Lake District, my husband absolutely loved baked beans.
Oh, brilliant.
He wasn't a cook, he never cooked, but the one thing he would cook for me if I wasn't well, I'd do your baked beans and toast, Chris.
Oh, I tell you what.
And he loved baked beans, always had, since I first met him.
Baked beans on toast is a simple thing of joy.
We stayed at this accommodation, and he didn't have cooked breakfast very often, but when he did, it had to come with baked beans.
Oh, I love
and we
it.
stayed at this bed and breakfast, and baked beans were not on the menu, and he wasn't a happy bunny.
It's like, what kind of a joint you're running with?
Yeah. So it was standing joke with my two friends, Deb and Steve, and then for his funeral, because again we were in lockdown, nobody could come other than the immediate 30. So because he was a big motorbiker, we did a motorcycle route where people could stand along the
brilliant,
route.
that's such a good idea.
And it was lovely because far more people came than probably would have been able to come even if we weren't in
Yeah,
lockdown.
yeah.
We did about
Because he was a big biker as well, wasn't
yeah,
he?
we did a 20-mile route around Leicestershire, and I think there was about 50 bikers escorted. He had a hearse that was a motorcycle and sidecar. And anyway, we live about a mile away from a reservoir in Thornton in Leicestershire. It's a lovely reservoir, and I'll be using it a lot for my training runs. And my friends Deb and Steve, unbeknown to me, had just driven up for the day from Malvern and stood at the Thornton Reservoir because my friend's maiden name, we went to the same primary school together, was Thornton. So she stood there with a massive poster, a picture of Nige, and it just said right at the bottom, the slogan, "Don't forget the beans, Chris."
Don't forget the beans.
And that just it really spurred me on the funeral day to see Deborah standing there with this big poster, and it just made me smile because it was so funny. We talked about it for years afterwards, about this bomb bed and breakfast that didn't offer baked beans.
The beans.
So that's why I'm running in the baked beans, topping a tribute to Nige.
That's what I think we just got to say for a second here. What scenery for this
It's
run.
a gorgeous run. Look at the sky
awesome
as
is
well.
this?
I didn't imagine the sky was going to be this blue
I know.
today.
I was wondering it was going to be
gorgeous.
absolutely.
Oh, we've got
tossing it down.
boats on the river as well.
Have we got people coming? Have you finished, mate?
No, we haven't done it.
You haven't done it? Oh my God! I thought it was people coming on the way
I
back.
think we are going to be last in
I think
this
we
run,
might be a
but
bit last.
I don't
think
care
that-
really.
Well done, keep going.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, as long as I can do it, and that's how I should feel about the marathon.
Exactly. Yeah, go on, let's swap over. No, exactly. You know, I'd say, you know, if someone's in the Olympics or something like that, and they, you know, by all means, absolutely thrash
Go
yourself.
for it, yeah.
But
Yeah, this is just doing it for my mental health, for the British Heart Foundation, and for Nige, you know, to mark what a wonderful life we had together.
absolutely.
And hopefully, so that a similar thing doesn't happen to other people or happen to any of my family, my children. I want them to be aware if there's any hidden heart
Absolutely.
problems that might occur later in life.
And there you go. You know, brilliant message there. If you're doing the marathon, doing any kind of running, just enjoy it.
And also,
you know.
when I run in scenery like this, my mental health, I get back from a run and I just feel tons better.
Absolutely.
If I was just to stay in the house, I'd be down in the dumps, but if I can get out,
Yeah, definitely.
this is just beautiful.
It is nice seeing all the fellas going past on the block. Could do with a couple of dog stoppers.
Yeah.
But is that the end over there?
Well, I hope so. They're all
By the
walking.
bandstand. What's your watch say? How far have we gone?
2.24, so
Hey, that's not bad,
got a way
is
to
it?
go though.
So less than a mile to go. That's all fine. Do you
Well, my
want to?
daughter, when I did do park runs a couple of years ago, she's got a cockapoo, Ralph, he's 6 now.
Yeah.
He used to do it with her. But the problem with Ralph was
Let's just have a quick thing. Look at that view of
it's
the
gorgeous, the cathedral.
cathedral. Try not to wipe out these bikers here. There you go, cathedral. It looks really much
beautiful.
bigger than that on the in real life, but there you go. That's
Beautiful. It's a nice park run, this
it is a
isn't it?
really nice park
Yeah.
run.
Well done! Woo!